For peace to reign on earth, the ego and greed or corruption associated within the human condition in the mind must be properly educated in truth, in the hidden wisdom long forgotten. We must each know truth, that is to feel it within the heart. We must each live truth. This means accepting so-called differences we have created to divide ourselves from others, and the fallacy that we are in control or own this world we find ourselves in. It is the transmutation of the lower carnal self, the material self, the ego, into the higher spiritual self. It is the enlightenment of the darkness from which ignorance springs forth, where the selfish nature of humanity is rooted in the ego. We must understand and learn from our experiences, from mistakes, from history. It is not only experience that is important, but what we learn and then apply from that experience. We must understand the arcanum of truth, that is nature, that is the world around us. We must learn the lessons of life, consciously become proactive in our search for knowledge, appreciate the truths as we learn through life, and apply it to live a better, uplifting life. To transmute greed, corruption, hatred, and the lower emotions into charity, ethics, love, and so forth. To learn the mysteries of how the microcosm and macrocosm are in fact one in nature. Some would say these conflicts are just human nature and are something that have and will always occur. This is in fact ignorance of principles and natural laws. There are patterns in nature, within the universe, that occur within ourselves and our lives that we must learn to observe and apply consciously. We have, as a people, given away our personal power to others, to governments, and so forth. Doubt was placed in the minds of the masses long ago, creating lack of faith in all things, especially in truth. There was a barrier placed as to the connection to nature or to God, that humanity was separate from this energy or higher power. This is an illusion. We are only as separate as we believe ourselves to be. This was all responsible for producing byproducts such as low self-esteem, depression, indifference, and leading to despotism. This has been responsible for the breakdown we have seen not only in the family but in society as a whole. We have forgotten our divine origins, or rather our eternal connection to the entirety of our history. From the ancients to the moderns, the now, we have seen a consciousness concerned more with profit and material worth used to define the status of a person, and many paradigms take hold over what is truly important in life. We must learn that these attributes of jealousy, self-loathing, weakness of mind and spirit are diseases of the soul, that we must look to ourselves and learn that we are in fact perfect, and learn to see the reflections of divinity in all life. In truth, we learn to see this, but instead, for the most part, we are living willfully in ignorance, which results in the current state of affairs. It must be recognized that these seeds of evil, destruction, and selfishness, of fear, that have been sowed into the consciousness of the current paradigm are false. That we complain as if we are entitled to something we cannot put our finger on, yet we are afraid to lift the finger to do the work to attain the things in life we want. We must not worry about the trivial. We must not blame others for our shortcomings and unhappiness. This is an excuse. It is part of the reason we are faced with the very social and universal problems we see creeping up all around us. The very reasons we see the paradigms breaking down on all levels across this world. If we are to continue on the current path as a whole, of science based on materiality alone, philosophy based on intellectualism void of metaphysics and experience applied, religion based on unquestionable dogma and intolerance, government based on tyranny, economics, and capitalism based on greed and corruption, then it should be of no surprise the outcome will be what it is and has been produced over the last 100 years. The conclusion can be drawn that if continued in blind ignorance of the laws of nature, that we will continue to repeat the past until we succeed in destroying ourselves, or until nature itself again resets the imbalance within itself. Humanity must understand that we must learn discipline in all things, find truth through meditation, on searching within ourselves, as actual truth is not found in books or gurus or new age fluffery or dogmatic beliefs. While each may contain glimmers of truth, it is in the heart in which truth is found, where it is expressed and realized, that we must take personal responsibility for our own lives in all aspects. We must recognize the duality in all things and draw strength from that which is uplifting, that which is reality, that which represents rightness, oneness, light, beauty, truth. We must work together to move forward to an age of peace, of equality, of liberty. Tyranny, evil, greed, selfishness must not be tolerated to fester like open sores that spread like disease to infect society, as good men do nothing but watch. It is up to each of us to stand for truth once it is realized. It is a duty to self and others. Through this awareness that must emerge in order to see real change begin to happen, we must also see through the illusions of oneness perpetuated by those currently in power, who through multinational corporations and entities such as the United Nations and other groups, who seek a world government based on control grid matrix-like power over all nations and all people. The manipulation of emotions is a tactic widely used. For example, introducing man-made laws that state we must obey to save the planet, save the children, save ourselves, and while in reality only produce profit and power for those enforcing the laws, not for those following them. Solutions are being provided by these groups under the guise of unity, but in reality only further restrict and reform policy for the selfish needs of a small percentage of the population. While billions struggle in poverty and millions more suffer death by the same hands, those who control the wealth make mockeries of them, playing charades such as the G20 meetings, the IMF, and World Bank, who actually place these nations and peoples in further debt and under their control through loans and sanctions, invasions, and manipulation. The religious or spiritual differences between nations and peoples must also be something that is respected. The use of violence, force, or manipulation to attain goals must come to an end. For eons, religion and those who claim to sit at the top of these institutions has been at the very heart of war and destruction. For humans to insist that their group or nation or peoples is chosen by said God over all others is ignorance and arrogance. It is megalomania. To insist on supremacy in the world based on contrived egocentric and dogmatic opinions must end. To wage war in the name of God is blasphemy in and of itself. The personification by humans of deity has been a long practice throughout history, but to personify God as a personal deity to favor only one group or to condemn others for their natural freedom of belief is arrogance unlike any other. We humans give the name of God to that which is incomprehensible to us, to the creative and destructive forces of nature, of consciousness, of reality. We can trace these origins of almost all religious stories and beliefs